Good morning from a very cold, frosty UK. It's beautiful actually. It's not snowing. It's just everything's covered in frost, and it's like everything's sparkling. Little prisms and every little spot of frost. It's so pretty. And of course, out here I'm quite near nature, so all the trees, and I love winter trees. With no leaves on them. You can see every little twig. It's such a pretty picture out there at the moment, but it's too cold. I went out yesterday. I'm not going out today. So I've got this new moon in Aquarius. I'm not going to talk about a new moon so much. I was going to talk about a peculiar experience I had yesterday, which has nothing to do with esoteric. This is a nice change and a bit more light-hearted than the last one. I don't know, the last one about the sexual energies, I did that many years ago, and I was a little bit apprehensive when I did it, because it's a funny subject. Anyway, I think I had 70 replies, which is a lot for me, first time off, but no comments. I had one comment, but that was sent the first time, so I thought, why aren't people making any comments? That's an interesting video. I mean, I would like to have some feedback on this. When you listen to a video, is the immediate reaction, well, that's it, switch off, whatever? Or do you feel like saying something to be included in the conversation? That's what I think comments mean. You're including yourself in it. And maybe you didn't find it interesting. I don't know. Maybe I had comments that weren't very nice. I probably guess that's the case. And I think YouTube take them off. They do look after me very well. I have had some very strange things said, because people are very strange, aren't they? Well, we all have our opinions, don't we? And of course nobody knows me. They see me sitting here, and nobody knows my personality really. And I must admit, there's a video I did some months ago about my problems with a care home. I had a man, I'm off again, look, I'm off again. I just have to say what comes. And I had a man friend who went very astray when I was with him, very, very astray, spent thousands of pounds on girls. And of course he went into a care home, and to save face, he told his son that I was the prostitute. I'm laughing, but honestly, this all surfaced recently, strangely enough. I can't tell you about it. It's such a big subject, and I can't tell you where I went with it. But of course, all the care home people, they didn't tell me what they've been told. They make notes, and all the family and all the care home nurses and so forth. I used to go there and I thought, they're looking at me rather suspiciously, and people would tell me things. Girls would tell me things, very intimate things. I thought, why are they doing this? And you must watch the video. I'll try and put a link in. But anyway, so this subject is a very sensitive subject, so I was a bit wary about what would happen to it. Nothing. Not quite so exciting when nothing happens, is it? Anyway, on to the main video I'm doing today, which is very silly, but you may see more than it somewhere. Some months ago, I bought myself a little, I'll show it to you, a little blender, just off the internet, called Blender actually. I'm not advertising, I bought that off the video to do my mousse smoothies, fruits and things I do in the morning, and it worked very well. I loved it, and because it's very tall, and the other day I knocked it over, smashed to pieces. I was so upset. They're not that expensive, but I hate breaking things, and of course I had to buy a new one. Well, I already had a blender, a big one, so I've been using that for a while. I thought, this is not the right thing. I've got to buy one like I had before. So I sent for it. Of course, you know what the internet's like, buying things. It's a nightmare. Well, it is for me. You could get one thing, and because they've improved it, you see, of course you can't get the original. So it's okay, it's different make, but it's okay. So I was very pleased when it came. I thought, oh, goody, filled it up with stuff, yogurt and this and that. I filled it all up, switched on, nothing. It's got one of these, I think they're called USBs, aren't they? Little thing that goes in a plug. Fortunately, I had one, and I put that in and thought, oh no, I'll change it over, change the plug. And this went on. I left it recharging overnight, so it should have been charged up. And the little light came on, all the stuff. And I went frantic. I thought, I don't know what to do. How am I going to send the thing back? So I went onto Amazon, which is where I bought it. Have you ever tried to get anything on Amazon? They're a nightmare. You can't find contact numbers or telephone numbers. Well, you can find them, but they're obscure. No, they're never there, or the wrong one. And I'm not much good at doing this sort of thing. I was here about an hour trying to find a contact, how to send the thing back. I did get customer services in the end, and she said what to do, to send it by Royal Mail. There's that. I thought, have I still got the box? And this went on. I do have the box, but I wasn't quite sure about packing it, you know. So I thought I'll try again, try a different plug. And this lasted all day probably. Trying to get this thing to work. It was still full of fruit, and in the end I gave up. I thought I'm going to have to take it all out, put it in the other one, which I'd already put away. So I had to move all the stuff to get the cupboard door open, to get this thing out, to put it on the thing, to transfer what was in this one into the big one. And of course it's not much. It's not the same. It's not the same. So I was getting frantic by this time. I thought, what can I do? Shall I send it back? Shall I keep it? Shall I? And in the end, I thought, let's look at the instructions. Let's look at the instructions. I never do. I'm a very impatient person. I want things now, instant. I don't want to bother to work things out. I'm not technically minded, as you know. I want everything instant. I don't want to have to read instructions. And some of them, of course, are not. I bought a mobile phone the other day, and it's not. I can't understand it. It's not in English. I rang them up. I said, "Why have you got? Oh, shall we can download the what is it, the app or something? You download it off the internet." I still won't understand it because they're complicated things, aren't they, mobile phones? I just wanted a yes or no. So anyway, in the middle of all this, I thought I did get hold of somebody. She said, well, what's your mobile phone number? I haven't got one. I haven't programmed it yet. Oh, Lord, they got worse. So in the end, I decided to, look at the instructions, and I sat there and I thought, double click. I had to double click to get it on. The light was on, everything was perfect, and I was pressing and pressing and pressing, changing plugs, doing this, screaming, whatever. At the end of the day, I had to double click. Yes! First time it started, so I put all the stuff from that jug into this jug and put... So yes, it works, double click. There's a moral there somewhere. I think the devil's in the details. That's the expression I don't really understand. But for me, every time when I analyse what I've just done and got into a dreadful mess, and what I've done, think, you didn't read instructions, you didn't take your bit of paper into the see my phone is in the other room. I ought to have a phone in here by the computer. I could use the mobile phone when it's working. But I tend to rush on where angels fear to tread, and I go in there to phones. I got something I want to know, like printer inks. That's another story. PayPal. That's another story. I'm always sorting things out. I mean, the world compared to when I was younger, the world's a mess. Everyone makes mistakes. Nothing's right. Nothing comes. It's well, in my experience, it's just becoming a nightmare. And so anyway, the phone is in there, so I've got a problem on the computer or with a delivery or something. I have to go in there to phone them up, and they say, what's your order number? Oops, what's the order number? Rush back in here again, get the order number, and on it goes. I still haven't learned the lesson of get everything ready before you make the phone call. Order numbers, reference numbers, dates, times, all this stuff, They all want so much information that I haven't got. There's a moral there somewhere, isn't there, don't you think? So I've got to learn to actually either bring a phone in here to do it, because the PayPal woman, I expect you've got PayPal. That's another story, is PayPal. I haven't got a tissue. For some reason, it's not accepting my password or my email address. I changed the password in a panic and I can't remember where it is, so I can't trace it. So I get onto PayPal. So I ring them up. You get this automated service. I'll give you a link for a new password. That's no good. I want to know why that's no good. Their passwords aren't working. So then I ring somebody else up, and she's in America. The thing is, all these people, they have foreign accents. And I'm going a bit deaf, and I can't understand them. And they rap it on. I think, what's she talking about? She went on and on about something, and I don't know what it was. Anyway, she gave me another link by email to get this password done, which I did do. And when I log in, I'm thinking, what's she done? She's signed me up for some credit, another account. And, oh no, now I've got to go through all this again to cancel it. So can you imagine, this is just every day I get 2 or 3 things a day. I suppose people that have got husbands or boyfriends or are more clever than me can do it, but it takes me all day to work it out. And that's PayPal, Amazon, and somebody else. Oh, printer inks, that's another one, inks. You know what printer inks are like? Well, you can get sort of substitutes, the ones that are not the real thing, not Epsom. And of course they all say, oh, you shouldn't put those in. Oh, no, no, no. So I have got a contact that's quite good, and they don't send the right one or the wrong size or that. I think, oh, so. I had a printer that must have lasted 20 years at Epsom, and in the end it had to go this new one. Well, it's a work of art. I could just about get something printed. Did you know that printer inks, they don't just use black for printing, they use colours. Epsom use colours to put with the black to make it a denser print. So you have to buy colours, which you know how expensive they are. Anyway, I'm rabbiting on. I don't know what time it is. I'm just rabbiting on. I'm just full of this. I just wanted to quickly to tell you about the thoughts. The thoughts is very important. That I've learned something about my mind and my sequence of events and my thoughts and so forth. Did you know you had 3 minds? You have a lower mind, a middle mind, and a higher mind. It's the lower mind that's the problem, and this is where all the strange thoughts come from. You say, I didn't think that, I didn't say that. Little entities can get into your mind, and they give you thoughts that are not yours. I think I've mentioned this before, but this was very strong with that last experience I had, that really I was set up by something or someone. And I thought, well, actually, no, it's probably my lower mind as well, which is involved, the subconscious, which is self-sabotaging and all the stuff. So if you want to get rid of stuff, get into the subconscious mind, the mind that leads you astray, because I had an experience last night, or was it this morning, I don't know. I woke up and I thought, I think I've shifted it. I was aware of this other mind that was setting me up with a thought that I didn't want particularly, and I stopped it. I stopped it. I said, off. I stopped it and I thought, wow, I am now aware there's a gap between the mind, the everyday mind, the lower mind, and I'm getting more into the higher mind, which I guess is the moon in Aquarius. That's the higher consciousness that we're all working towards. So this is a day for checking out. When something comes at you, did I think that? Did somebody else think it? If you don't want it, you can send it away, and you're aware then of a gap that you're in control of these thoughts. Control, the word is control. That's interesting. Control means Saturn, and Saturn is the ruling planet of Aquarius. So there you go, dear ones. I think you've had enough for today. I hope it wasn't too silly, but I think it was a good balance, and they find there's a moral in there somewhere. So you take care of yourselves. God bless for now. I've got to work out this thing again. Oh, I could do with a cup of coffee now.